There are places in this world that exist on the edge of our understanding. Vast, empty spaces where the silence is so profound, it feels like a presence. The desert is one such place. Under the cold, indifferent light of a billion stars, the normal rules of reality can feel thin. Most of us will never have to test that theory. We will never find ourselves miles from civilization, in the dead of night, staring out into an ocean of darkness. But what if you had to? What if it was your job? This is the story of a man whose job was just that. A United States Marine, a trained observer, equipped with technology designed to pierce the veil of night. But on one unforgettable evening, he saw something that no training could prepare him for. Something that looked human, but wasn't. This is the story of Larry Gomez and his terrifying encounter with a being he can only describe with 5 chilling words. She isn't human. The setting is the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in Twentynine Palms, California. It's one of the most desolate, unforgiving training grounds in the United States. It's a place of rocky terrain, venomous creatures, and extreme temperatures. It's also an active artillery impact zone. It is, by every definition, a place where no civilian should ever be. Our witness is Larry Gomez, a U.S. Marine on deployment for a training exercise. It's important to establish who Larry is. He's not a ghost hunter or a paranormal enthusiast. He is a disciplined soldier, trained to observe, report, and remain calm under pressure. His eyes are his tools, and he trusts them. On the night of the encounter, Larry and his fellow Marine, a friend we'll call V, were tasked with watch duty. They were positioned in a remote observation post, or OP, little more than a fortified hole in the ground on a desolate ridge. Their job was simple, if monotonous: scan the vast, empty desert basin below them for any signs of movement. To do this, they were equipped with state-of-the-art surveillance technology: binoculars, thermal optics, and the iconic PVS-7 night vision goggles. The PVS-7s turn the world into a familiar, ghostly, phosphorescent green, amplifying ambient light to turn pitch darkness into day. For hours, the night was exactly as it should be: silent, empty, boring. The only sounds were the gritty desert wind and the occasional distant crackle over their radios. They scanned the darkness, waiting for the sun to rescue them from the monotony. And then, something changed. While scanning the artillery impact zone with his thermal optics, Larry picked up a heat signature. It was unmistakable. A lone figure walking through the most dangerous part of the desert. This was not just unusual, it was deeply alarming. It was a restricted area, a place where unexploded ordnance could be anywhere. No one was supposed to be there. Larry focused the thermals. The figure was human-shaped, walking with a steady, unhurried pace. He alerted V, who confirmed the visual. Their training kicked in. They immediately tried to radio it in to their command post, but the line was clogged with chatter from other units. They were on their own for now. They kept observing, their curiosity turning to confusion, and then to a cold, creeping dread. As the figure drew closer, they could begin to make out details, even with the naked eye. The figure was a woman. She had long, dark hair, and she was wearing a pristine, white, old-fashioned dress that seemed to glow in the moonlight. She was also barefoot. Let that sink in. She was walking, completely unharmed, across a landscape of sharp rocks, thorny cacti, and potentially live explosives. Barefoot. The pristine white dress had no rips, no dirt, no smudges. It was as if she were taking a pleasant stroll through a park, not navigating a deadly desert wasteland in the middle of the night. This was wrong. This was impossible. The air in the OP grew cold. The boredom of their watch duty had evaporated, replaced by a primal fear. Who was she? How did she get here? Why wasn't she hurt? Frantically, they kept trying the radio. Still nothing but static and chatter. The woman kept walking, her path taking her on a long, slow arc about 200 meters from their hidden position. It was then that Larry made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He decided to get a better look. He raised the PVS-7 night vision goggles to his eyes. The world turned a familiar, ghostly green. He found her instantly, and his heart stopped. The thing he was looking at was not a person. It had the shape of a woman, the dress of a woman, the hair of a woman. But the face was an abomination. Her eyes, amplified by the night vision, were massive, far too large for her head, and they were completely, utterly black. There were no whites, no irises, no pupils. They were perfect, polished orbs of obsidian that seemed to drink the starlight, reflecting it with an unnatural, oily sheen, like two black holes staring back from a human-shaped mask. Her mouth was a single, featureless, perfectly straight line, a thin, bloodless slash in her pale face, showing no hint of expression. Her head was tilted at a slight, unnatural angle on her neck. And her walk. Her legs were moving, but she wasn't walking. She was gliding. Her body moved forward with a supernaturally smooth motion that didn't match the clumsy, mechanical movement of her legs. It was like watching a poorly animated puppet, a marionette whose strings were being pulled by something that didn't understand human locomotion. Larry stared, paralyzed, his mind refusing to process what his eyes were seeing. This thing was a mockery of a human being, a terrifying parody. He ripped the NVGs from his face, gasping for air, his heart hammering against his ribs. He turned to V. "Dude, you have to look at this thing through the sevens. She isn't human." V, already terrified, refused. He didn't want to see. He didn't want to know. And then, the absolute peak of the horror. Down in the basin, 200 meters away, the figure stopped. It stopped its smooth, gliding walk, as if it had heard Larry's whispered words. Slowly, deliberately, it turned its head. The head rotated with that same unnatural smoothness, its gaze sweeping across the dark, empty ridge. It scanned past their position once, then snapped back, locking on to their exact, hidden location. It stared directly at them. There was no doubt it could see them. From 200 meters away, in the dead of night, it knew precisely where they were hiding. The two trained Marines were frozen in sheer abject terror. The watcher had become the watched. And then, it did something else. The figure raised a pale, slender arm, and with that same, slow, deliberate, and unnatural grace, it waved. It was not a wave of greeting. It was not a plea for help. It was a gesture of cold, intelligent acknowledgement. A signal from an impossible being in an impossible place. It was a wave that said, "I see you. I know you're there, and now you know what I am." That was what broke them. V began to cry. Larry, fumbling with his radio with shaking hands, finally got a clear channel and screamed into the receiver. "Command, we have an unknown individual in the impact zone. We need a patrol, now." Their commander's voice crackled back, annoyed at first, but the sheer panic in Larry's voice changed his tone. He said a patrol vehicle was on its way. Larry and V kept their eyes fixed on the figure, too scared to look away. For what felt like an eternity, it just stood there, arms still raised, staring at their position. Then, as the distant sound of the patrol vehicle's engine began to echo through the basin, it lowered its arm, turned, and continued its smooth, gliding walk, disappearing into the darkness. When the patrol finally arrived, they found nothing. They swept the area. There was no woman. There was no white dress. And in the soft, sandy soil of the desert floor, there were no footprints. Larry Gomez and his friend V were debriefed. Their story was officially logged as a possible encounter with local drug traffickers, using a scout to distract them. A convenient but flimsy explanation that neither of them ever believed, because they knew what they saw. Larry, a man trained to document reality, saw something that defied it. He saw a being that wore a human form like a costume. What was it? The ghost of a lost settler? A creature from another dimension, drawn to the energy of the military base? Or was it something older? A desert entity whose territory they had breached? We don't have answers. We only have Larry's chilling, credible testimony. It stands as one of the most compelling and terrifying paranormal encounters ever recorded. And it poses a final, chilling question. We spend our time watching the darkness, searching for threats. But what happens when the darkness sees us first? What happens when it waves back? The story you just heard is based on the direct account of Larry Gomez. What do you think he saw that night in the desert? Share your theories in the comments below. And if you appreciate stories from the edge of reality, please like this video and subscribe for more. Be safe out there.